Hello guys, and welcome back to another SEA Games group stage match, game number 2 between our two Protoss players. But first things first, let's introduce them on the battlefield. It is going to be Ephemeron for our map, yet again, pretty much one of the favorites. When you're given the chance to pretty much choose these maps, you gotta go with the classics. But on the bottom rights, we have the blue Protoss Cho, aka Singapore's Lobo, and his opponents on the top left. It's gonna be Kun, aka Malaysia's Ranger, on that red Protoss. So first things first, guys. In that last match, Lobo was able to do shenanigans like this. Proxy pylon, put buildings, proxy gateway, proxy forge, cannon rush, and looks like he's gonna do it again. Lobo looking to play the cheese yet again. It worked once. Two surprise opponents. Will it work twice? He's gonna be sending out that second probe as well. And Ranger should be keeping an eye out on that probe count, on the amount of buildings. Immediately, he is gonna get that scouts on the way and notices absolutely nothing. So he will have to fortify, he will have to defend. Nothing being built here and now by Lobo on his base. And he already sees the pylon underway. Ranger though, putting that probe in the way, put that pylon as well. Now going for the focus fire onto that one probe. But he does let it in, interesting enough. Zealot though, instead, gonna be warped on in with the chrono boost. Gonna need that early aggression, early DPS to help things out. So are we gonna get a repeat of game number 1? That's the real question. Again, I do want to go into the player profiles and everything, but it seems like there is no time because Lobo, no time like the present, I believe, gonna be sending that probe to go for the Cal run yet again. Cue the Ben Hill music, because at the same time, here comes the second probe. Oh, forces to cancel already on that pylon as we have a Zealot on their way. Two Zealots also being warped on in here and now queued up by Lobo. Chrono boosted up as well. But still, defender's advantage here. And now for Ranger, he is going to be staying by the ramp. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. And we'll see, though, if Ranger is going to get shamed in this situation. So Lobo having a little more DPS. Probes, though, pulled to try and keep the count up. And honestly, we do see Lobo coming ahead in the mineral count as probes are forced to be pulled. Shield Battery though, gonna be the big game changer. Adept's gonna be so useful as well with that range advantage. And here comes the cannons though from below. What Ranger needs to do is force these Zealots to stay on the low ground. So there is no vision whatsoever. Adept's right now going for the hamper yet again. And these four Zealots trying to march on in. But without charges, it's so difficult. The Adepts can go for the start step instead. Zealot though under the rest, 6 HP and a Dream Shield Battery. Now the next target. And here comes Lobo going for those gateways. Psionic Transfer though to get onto the other side. It might be time to go for the hamper, go for the chase, get that scouting information though with the Psionic Transfer. That Shade, oh, he's gonna decide to warp on the inside. And the Adept tanking everything out. Exciting stuff here by the ramp already. And in behind is Lobo gonna be building anything else. He is gonna be going for the pylon on that high ground. Get that vision as much as possible. Can go for the cancel at any time as well, if it is only gonna be for vision. But when you're on a cannon rush, you want to go for one step, two step, hop, skip, and jump to try and get to that main base middle line and force your opponents off this rock. Anyway, here come the cannons yet again. The Adepts still in position in the front when Gateway does go down. And there's a lot of damage being done against Ranger, but he still has the lead in terms of that worker count. He is getting gas as well, so he can build into higher tech tiers of units. Cannons are forced on out to be cancelled. The Ranger right now with 2 shield batteries to go. Gateway does go down though. Gateway gonna be built in behind instead. And overall, this is a solid contain done by Lobo, but he can't go for the killing blow as of yet. Will he transition into a more mid-game oriented style? Yes, he is. Going for the assimilator into the pylon as well. And I believe Warp Gate research, 2/3 done here and now for Ranger. He's been so busy microing things up. He does go for a little later on that Warp Gate, but should be fine, should be dandy. The real question here is how will Ranger respond? First things first, he's going to be using these stalkers to take that high ground advantage, take care of these cannons, stop the contain at its source. In the meantime, Zealots trying to play the bouncer, but they are getting bounced back by the stalkers instead. Here we go with the phase disruptors yet again. And this might be the end already. Does Ranger get that scout? Yes, he does. Sees all of that and more into the corner. Artosis pylon in behind as well. And overall, finally a reprieve here in this game as Lobo decides to back on out. Finally gonna be under the rest, but now it's time finally to talk about Lobo. So first thing first, one of the best Singapore has to offer. And the funny thing about Singapore is here on SEA Games, they sent 2 Protoss. I know in Nation Wars they sent 3. Really goes to show, an advanced country like that going for the advanced tech is that how it works. But Lobo really did impress in Nation Wars, able to take out wins in terms of those map scores for Singapore itself against both Canada and Mexico. That beautiful defense against No Regret on World of Sleepers, as well winning out on the same map against Mexico as well. And it's honestly interesting, the dynamic, the duality of this player, as he playing the aggression right now, going for those proxies, getting in the face of the opponents. An overall good fight all around, but now he might be under duress as here comes the Adepts of Ranger. Looking to punish his opponents, one Adept versus two, but this is already mortal damage done. The Probe's going for the surround, forcing the Adept to the corner. Will it get the Shade on away? Yes, it does, with 9 kills to boot. So 6 Probes do go down, but we do see Lobo transitioning into a defensive position instead. Gonna be having a Warp Gate, Immortal Chrono boosted on out, and here comes Ranger with a Warp Prism with Stalkers to spare. But this does get scouted as he just hovers over those buildings. Will Lobo respond in kind? He is gonna be putting that gateway out in front, but the Stalkers, of course, armored. Never mind, the Immortal is here, and this might be the game changer that we need. Are there any upgrades here now for both sides? Only the Warp Gate here for Ranger. And as soon as he gets on that high ground, he will see that Immortal. And 1-2 shots make that third one count. Gonna get that takedown. Seems like it's not the case for either of these players. And interesting enough, Ranger setting up proxy pylons on multiple entries of his map. So basically, he can go for warp cycles here. Will also scout out any potential drops or oracles at any point in time. Well, I would love to see Lobo to eventually reclaim these buildings later on, but instead, the Stalker are gonna have a field day. That one will look to clean up the buildings instead. The Warp Prism Micro, of course. Warp Prism Micro is pretty much Ranger's bread and butter. Gonna be staying on that low ground, staving the Stalkers as much as possible against the Immortal. But yeah, anyway, I was saying about Lobo, Nation Wars, it was amazing that Singapore qualified already, and he wasn't even their ace player. Of course, you would put that on Bliss, #1 in their scene, that's for sure, based on the results he's been doing. At the same time, in WCS, he has had some foray in the open qualifiers all throughout the season. Has been a long time player since Wings of Liberty, and that's what I've also noticed about the C scene. Many of these guys are really veterans, especially the C games coming back, and people who did come back in that sense. Like if you see the Philippine team with what they sacrifice, what time they give, what things they put aside first to represent the country. That these guys really had this foray back in the day. And sure, sometimes the scene dries up, but overall, still opportunities, especially to represent your nation. It's a big thing. It's a big thing to represent your nation. I know that feel from being part of the Overwatch World Cup team for Team Philippines this year. And it does have a lot of, there's a lot of weight behind it in so many situations. But I don't want to talk about that. Let's focus on StarCraft itself. Ranger, in the meantime, going to be having a big army coming his way, 38-18. In this 2 base versus 1 scenario. Things look good here for Ranger. Gonna be spotting out that Phoenix as well, and this is a scary army already. As Lobo going for this Phoenix transition, Whites want to fly up in the air. Good micro will be able to save the day. Graviton Beam is gonna be very helpful as well. But still, the army is knocking. Ranger right now looking to start a forest fire in this situation. Of course, Warp Prism Micro put those Immortals in good spots. Into the front line, into the back force field. Well set there by Lobo. But he is just buying time, and he might be dead in the water really, really soon. Because this is going to be a big army knocking on his doorstep. Sentry trying to back on that will get caught. It's so dangerous. GG is called. Because Ranger taking that macro game by storm. But at the moment you saw the army counts, the game was done. And as I said on the previous game, if a double cheese commitment does not work, you're not probably gonna win if you don't get significant damage. It was good damage there by Lobo, and he got the contain, but it just wasn't enough. You can't just contain your opponent since they've been using the time to build up on the tech tree to get both minerals and gas, and maybe go for, not in this game, but a Ninja Expand might be in the cards as well. But yeah, the contain just isn't enough if you're really investing so much. And that was what? 3 buildings, 2 gateways, 1 forge, 1 pylon. So 3 tech buildings, 1 pylon, 550 minerals at the very start. Zealots trying to keep the funnel on, trying to keep the pressure on. And overall, it just wasn't enough. This time, the cheese looking a little stinky. Well done there to Ranger. He didn't get fooled twice. He's not going to get shame himself. And I'll see you guys for the tiebreaker game number 3 really, really soon.